don't put in, that's probably gonna have to be all took out. And if you notice, the bridge is a lot wider than the road. So the guardrail was dangerous the way it was in there, way too low. So they're probably gonna come back, next phase, pull all the guardrail back out, widen the road out on both sides, and then, because that'll be the federal standard then. So, but they just make the guardrail safe for now. So you're looking at, if they do all the closures they want to do, crap load of closures. So, and if they tell you it's 6 months, figure a year. And if they tell you it's a year, figure a year and a half. But we have nowhere in town we can run storm sewers into 52 because the water won't take it with what's already coming. We tried that on Patterson, and it doesn't work because there's more water coming down the road than there is. And then, Brian, have you ever heard this mistake? Is it gone in 24 hours? Yeah. That's a state standard.
What is the standard?
If the water that stands out here is gone within 24 hours,
that's good enough.
Good enough for them.
I would say it's out on paper somewhere.
I mean, I've never heard that.
He just told me if it's gone within 24 hours, they don't consider it a tremendous issue.
I find that a little odd, particularly since they mark areas that flood, so.
But, you know, he's the engineer.
We can follow up on that.
All right, anything, any miscellaneous business?
I got a question.
Okay.
I got to meet with a property owner Monday. Their home, so we have setbacks. Their home is already beyond the setback. They're wanting to add on to their home. So does that kind of follow the guidelines of what we've done for Brian Richardson and, you know, the Walker's shed? Because, you know, some of these homes were built before there were setbacks and stuff. So, I mean, if somebody buys a home and they want to add on to it, I'm kind of wanting to know how we're going to handle that. What's the law? What are we going to do moving forward? Because this seems to be happening quite often here in the past month or two.
Well, the general rule is if they're beyond the setbacks currently, that's grandfathered use.
Okay.
It was put in. Now, it's a much tougher question. I want to add on and be even further beyond the setbacks. They don't have any inherent right to do that.
Well, I would say, like, if here's the lot and their home is here, and, you know, the setback is here.
Right.
Can they add on this way? Or could they add on this way?
Okay.
You see what I'm getting at?
No, I see what you're saying, and the answer is yes, sort of. What they need to do, they can add on and be within the setback.
Yeah.
By not, here's our drawing. So there's no problem there.
They can't follow the line of their house? I mean, that we kind of...
That would require a variance. I mean, we can consider a variance, and again, I'm talking about variance in unique circumstance of land, et cetera. You can make the argument that the unique circumstances, this house was built before there were any setback guidelines, now I want to add on, and it's illogical that I can't follow the existing outline of the house, so to speak. But I think it would make sense to require the variance. That way you do have a record of why you have these situations. So
Okay.
if somebody comes along and they've got a vacant lot, and well, I want to build right up, over the setback lines, you can legitimately say no. They too could perhaps seek a variance, but I think it would be more difficult in that circumstance because there's nothing unique about the land or its then condition.
What's the difference, like Brian Richardson, he had a garage, 2 garages like that. He tore this one down, built a new one, but made it bigger, and we said he didn't need a variance. I'm just trying to figure out what the difference is there. That would be my argument if I had to say, hey, let him do it. Because he built bigger.
Right, but he wasn't across the setback, was he?
Yeah, he was within, the original building that he tore down was within the setback.
You mean over the setback or within the setback?
Over the setback. And he tore it down, basically built a new one a little bit bigger. So the new part would have been here.
Was it different you tore it down?
I don't know. I just remember us talking about it. We decided he didn't need a variance. So I'm meeting with this homeowner Monday, and I'm like, am I going to need to tell him he needs a variance? Am I going to say, well, we set a precedent with Brian Richardson. He tore down a building, but built a bigger one beyond the setback. What's the difference in that?
Now, Richardson wasn't the guy that was in the last time, was he?
No.
When did this one come up?
Meeting before.
I don't remember it very well, quite honestly.
There's a video on YouTube, but I feel like this is along the same lines, and I want to know, because this is going to come up more and more, I think. People will have homes beyond the setback, and they might want to add on.
Oh, this is coming back to me now a little bit.
Yeah, so I know we talked about it, and we decided he didn't. And then, I don't know. I feel like this is kind of along the same lines. I just want to make sure.
And he tore down an old decrepit looking building.
It was an old garage.
Right.
But he built one with the same footprint, but still beyond the setback, but more, longer. Somebody adding on their home would kind of be the same thing, I would think.
Okay, it's coming back to me, and while I'd like to watch the tape, I think that the distinction was because there was an existing garage that he tore down, this was in the nature of a replacement, even though it was moved slightly.
Yeah.
Whereas what you have described, I want to add on.
Okay.
That's entirely new.
Okay. I gotcha. So with this homeowner, I would say you need to follow the setbacks or get a variance.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure because they seem.
Is that listed as a home?
What's that?
The 2-car garage. That's what it used to be.
Are you talking about Brian Richardson?
No. I'm talking about this guy you're talking about.
Oh, I haven't even seen the home.
You know where it's at. It's the Honey House. They called it Ebert's used to own.
I don't know. Is it indeed a house? I don't know.
It used to be a 2-car garage with.
So I don't know. I haven't even seen the house.
I think what happened over a period of time they moved in it, I made it a house. I mean, I just know if it's even listed as a house.
I have to look on GIS.
That was what he brought in, if that gives any more.
Oh, that's Brian's?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wondered, because I know they're living in it, to me it looks all right.
I didn't know it might not be a home or a dwelling. Like I said, I got to meet with him Monday. I just want to have my facts straight.
Yeah, I just wondered. because I know Eberts used to live,
Mhm.
in fact, at one time, that was a ice cream shop where they lived, and they made it into a home.
Mhm.
Then this was a two-car garage that they called the honey house. They had honey and they processed it in there and pears and stuff
Mhm.
like that. Then one of their sons just kind of moved in it and it became a house. So I just wondered if it was even listed as a house. I didn't
We'd
know.
have to look on GIS. I don't know. Maybe Lane can bring it up.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't- Huh?
Anything else?
No, that's just what, Monday I meet with the homeowner and, you know, I talked to him on the phone and that's what he was wanting to do. And I think the setback is 15 or 20 feet. He's saying his home's 7 feet. So
Now?
I think that's what he said. We'll walk it, but
You can pull it up there.
you look at and I just want to know, I just want to have my facts straight when I talk to him. I don't want to be like, well, you know.
Right.
I-
It's better to go in there then.
And I was looking at kind of what we did for Brian Richardson, but maybe, you know, Brian was demolishing some and putting something back a little bit bigger. This is a whole new wing to the house, basically.
It's zoned R2, right?
R2, yes. It is kind of confusing because on GIS it says R1, but you go in our book, it's R2,
That's because we haven't changed
which
it.
works out better for him anyway on the setback. Yeah. See how, when I talk, see how close it is to the property line? I'm thinking he's wanting to add this way. I'm not sure, I gotta go meet with him, but I just talked to him on the phone.
Well, if it looks like if he's adding on to what I believe would be the east, he doesn't seem to have a problem. You can't really tell, but there's clearly more distance between the structure and the south lot line. If he's going to the west, then yeah, he's right up against the lot line.
You can't go to the west, this way.
Yeah, this is the north.
Well, yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, if he's going north along the westerly line of the
Okay, yeah.
structure.
Yeah, I thought that's what he might have said, but I'm not 100% positive. And by the GIS, it looks like that shed is over into Waste Management's property.
Well, yeah.
But that's what I'm going to be dealing with Monday, and I wanted to, it just felt like it was the same thing as Brian Richardson, but
Can he build off the north side and come back and connect what he's wanting to do?
build off the north side.
Yeah, say from the setback from the west side of the property
Yeah.
and build towards the north and then square that and come back to what his house.
Can you point that? I'm not following Dave here. Here's a pointer. Sorry.
Can he go this way and then come back to this way?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that's what I said when I did
That's
this
basically
drawing.
what
He
he
could
said.
add on and be within the setbacks, and it's fine. But he's not gonna be aligned with the existing exterior walls of his house. But if he wants to be aligned with the existing walls, which makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
then I think a variance is appropriate. And again, the Richardson thing, now that I recall it,
yeah.
was replacement of an existing structure that was grandfathered in. I mean, it's a little fuzzy because he was moving it over, but
Yeah.
on balance, it was an improvement to the site.
Okay. And what's the setbacks in R2? Was it
20.
on the sides? I don't know, you know.
25 in front, isn't it?
I will look.
Oh, look.
It's 20 on sides and 25 in front.
Yeah, I got the size of 20.
I appreciate you guys talking this over with me, because let me see what section 2 R2
Only in general standards.
side setback 15 feet, so he's got 15 feet.
You thought it was about 7.
Says minimum side setback, quote 1, the side yard setback between attached units within the same, oh, that's 0 feet. I don't understand that. It's section 2, page 6.
You gave me the page the other day, didn't you?
Section 2, page 6.
Yeah, on there.
There you go.
All righty.
Right in here.
Yep,
I don't understand. So he's R2.
Okay, so minimum front setback, you have 20 feet from the street. Minimum street side setback, that would be like a corner lot, 15 feet. Then a minimum side setback 1. Side yard setback between attached units with the same building. That's 8 feet. Minimum rear setback 20, minimum side setback for garage door facing street 25.
So is he got to go by 15 or 8?
Minimum side setback. Front. And it's 20 because it's a rear setback.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, this is the front, so right here, would he go by 15 feet or
Okay,
8?
that would be a side setback, so that would be 8 feet.
Yeah, okay. Street side setback would be 50. Okay, I got you. So he's got 8 feet on the side, but 20 in the back.
Yeah.
That is interesting. That's just what I'll show him. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
is what it is. And he can always file a variance.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, we spent a lot of time on this, but we didn't get down to the minutiae. Let's talk about these setbacks. I mean,
I asked them to keep them as close as to the old book as possible. That was my directive. Except for town center was 0, and we just made it 5 feet.
Yeah.
Now, my directive was to try to keep it the same, to not cause big problems.
And I don't know your old book, but
So I think, hopefully, they kept it the same. I didn't double check it, but that was my directive to them, is maintain the setbacks, so we wouldn't have, you know, big problems. I could go back and look, but that seems about right. And I'll be honest, I didn't go through and check every one to make sure, you know, that would have taken hours, but
Well, you'd have enough room on that one side to almost put a complete building.
this could be, I don't know how many feet we're talking here. He's talking something about a 30 by 40 building. I don't know how big this structure is. I don't know. I don't know.
but he is talking attached to
His house.
Well, one would think he's going to the north. If he's going to the north, fine. If he's going to the east, I mean, if he's going to the north, variance. If he's going to the east, probably no problem.
You know, this looks like 8 feet. Looks like he could go that way all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might measure, it might
The
be
garage is probably 24 by,
So that way all day until he gets 20 feet.
Yeah.
20.
20?
Yeah, 20. The minimum setback for garage door facing the street is 25. That's interesting. So there's an extra 5 feet for garage door. Well, I guess that makes sense because if it was just 20,
Right.
your car would be right there. So yeah, that makes sense. Do you feel sufficiently armed?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I just want to know, I want to have my facts straight and just, you know.
Well, the reason I think
I don't want to be telling somebody, you can't do this when we told somebody you could.
Well,
If there's a difference, now I understand the difference.
and I would think, generally speaking, given these pre-existing uses, that variances would be granted more often than not. And here you've got plenty of lot space to deal with, so.
Yeah. Well, I'll just meet with him and I'll see exactly what he's wanting to do and maybe he can modify it so he doesn't have to get a variance or.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the variance is a hassle to do, but.
Yeah, not too much. Some paperwork come in.
Yeah.
I mean, and the purpose of the hassle, if you want to call it that, is so you do have a record and as you look back, you know what transpired and why. And
Yeah, I know, I feel better on it.
okay.
Good. Okay, anything else?
Brian Stump has emailed me changes that I requested.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't had time to go through those, so probably next meeting, be better prepared and we can go through the changes that I requested. I think back in March maybe, he's completed them. I just haven't had time to go through them and see what he's done. So next, we'll probably go through those changes.
Okay. Sounds good. Next meeting.
What was it? There was something I wanted to talk about last meeting, but we didn't get to it because it was a busy meeting. I don't remember. Oh, well, I'll remember for next meeting.
Let me give you a minute to think, or?
Man, we were going to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. I think may have been something to do with landscaping standards. Our book says you need to submit a plan, and
Brian's got an ordinance for trees.
Mm-hmm.
If you look in the book, Jeff says we've already got all that in the book.
Sure, I have to verify.
So it may already be there.
In the UDO?
Yep.
I don't recall anything in detail, but that's fine, because I want to break that ordinance into two parts. One thing you don't have, I don't think, you don't have anything about damaged or dangerous trees.
Right, I don't think that. No.
That's what we need.
Yeah, well, that's just the first part of the ordinance.
I thought our landscaping said what kind of trees to plant.
Well, let's take a look.
Next question. Why don't I discuss some of this? Mike, are you considered an arborist? You, I mean, you went to Purdue, didn't you, for
I know a little bit about trees. I'm a forester.
forester?
Yeah, you get me into city trees, and I go pretty done pretty quick. We go out in the woods, talk oak trees, and ash trees, and walnut trees all day.
We were talking about paying you
That's 6.2.
as trees go in to tell us what they are, and
I know our old book
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I
said what
yeah, there's
height.
so many
I thought this book might have had the thing, but
tree species horticulturists developed that I don't know anything about.
I was thinking We could pay you to tell us how they planted the right trees.
I was telling Dave,
I'd be afraid of that in town.
Okay.
You go out in the woods and.
There used to be ash
I
trees.
planted thousands and thousands of trees, but they were intended to be crop trees.
Yeah. So I told Brian, I thought you were kind of like an arborist.
Well, who knows? I'm not sure. I never considered myself an arborist.
it doesn't really tell you.
No, this is not nearly as detailed as what I prepared. And what I did, seriously, I borrowed heavily from Greenfield ordinance. And that's been in effect for a number of years. They have an organization called Regreening Greenfield. And the motivation initially was don't plant trees next to the sidewalk that heated the sidewalk up and all this and that. And then it went on. There's utility lines everywhere. People want trees. So what I prepared lists dozens, if not 100 or more, species by common name and genus species, and height. You got shorter trees, medium trees, tall trees, etc. So what I want to do now, though, thanks for calling this out, is probably cross-reference our UDO. And basically what I'll say is you need to comply with the UDO, but you also need to consider location, species, etc., and the more stringent standards of the ordinance comply.
Do we need to put something in the UDO about the ordinance? You're going to have confusion on my part.
Yeah, I get it.
Now people got to follow two things, and now.
Say something like see ordinance for more details or something.
Yeah.
I wish we could add what you're going to put in this book.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Now we got two places.
Then you call it an attachment?
Well.
Now we're going to go outside the book.
I understand your concern. But I think, first of all, we don't want to just keep shoving stuff into this if we can avoid it.
Yeah, and I don't want a lot of outside stuff.
Right, and I get that, but they're really different things. These are general landscape requirements, and they are very general. The ordinance that I developed, and I'm only talking about the second part of the ordinance, is street trees. So let me give you an example. I'm developing a subdivision and I've got 10 acres.
Mm-hmm.
This is plenty.
Okay.
But I now want to plant trees in the front yard on one of the streets immediately in town, and I've got a power line, I've got a sidewalk, and so on. That's what the ordinance that I drafted is designed to address. And in fact, the shorthand reference to the ordinance in Greenfield is the street tree ordinance.
So basically that ordinance would be
So I just think
within X amount of feet from a street or sidewalk or something?
It's not so much that, it's plant the proper tree.
Well, within so many feet of the sidewalk. Plant the proper tree.
It doesn't.
I want to plant the wrong tree 100 feet away. Can I do that?
The wrong tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably can do that.
He's got all silver maple.
Well, I want to know. Well, if I meet with somebody, say they're going to put a tree in 10 feet from the street, I want to say, okay,
Then
you need to go to the ordinance because it says within 15 feet you got to plant this type.
it tells you, it gives you a huge list of potential.
So if you're beyond 15 feet, follow this book.
Yeah, let's do this.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
My apologies. I just
That's
didn't
fine.
send it to you.
That's all right.
But I'll send it to you, and then you and I can talk. But
Well, what I don't want in the future as we move forward, I got 5 extra things. I can't just rely on the
no,
book.
I get that.
So that's
And
what I
that
don't want.
for what you are doing, I think this covers 99% of what
Okay.
you're doing.
Yeah.
What the ordinance that I drafted is designed to do is, as trees die and as trees are replaced in the town center pretty much, you're upgrading the canopy for the town because you're getting rid of the trees that are problematic. And so let me give you a perfect example. This addresses it a little bit. If existing vegetation meets blah, 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 let's see, this references the invasive plant list, all right? Go back 20 years, the pear trees were very popular because they grow fast and get pretty flowers in the spring. Now they're almost not listed as an invasive species because they're not very strong in the wind and they break like crazy. So this is basic for most circumstances, but if you're going to be in an area where there are other impediments, power lines, utilities, sidewalk, street, etc., then
Would you say, Mike, that probably a lot of your bigger trees in this town, as people owned a lot, they go out to the woods and dig a tree up and plant. Didn't care what it was, they just planted it.
They probably just come up on their own.
Well, I mean,
Probably didn't even go out in the woods.
I remember my grandparents going out to the woods and digging 3 or 4 trees up and putting them out in the yard. They didn't pay attention to what they were, if they could find a good silver maple, looked like it grew quick.
silver maple out in the middle of the field is fine.
But next to your septic tank, it's not.
I mean, cottonwood trees.
You don't want that weeping willow next to your septic tank either.
I bet there's a lot in this town, somebody just dug up and planted here and there, so. Sure.
What I was going to talk about was, in the book, it says the planning director in the landscaping can allow somebody to go outside the compounds of the landscaping. I'm thinking in the future that I am going to, it says also the planning commission can approve. I would like any change in landscaping, I think, moving forward for me, have you guys decide if they should be allowed to go outside the compound. Just because I don't know much about landscaping, I think it'll get you more involved in some of the decision making. I just.
Well, can't they draw up something? And
So you're supposed to submit a plan.
And
yeah,
look it over.
And then the planning commission can decide. I mean, it says I can decide or planning, but on some, I feel like I'm not an expert at landscaping. I don't know if any of us are, but I think as a group we could decide if that's what we want for the town.
Freudenberg, when they done that over here, presented a plan. Everybody sat and looked at it, it looked pretty decent.
Well, I'm just saying the book says I can decide alone, or it says the planning commission. I want to bring the planning commission involved in that.
You don't want to be the sole person deciding.
Yeah, I mean, I can, but
You'd rather not be.
Good way to get lynched.
I think you guys need to be involved on some of this stuff, and the book allows it. That's my feeling. So I've had to make a couple decisions on landscaping, but moving forward, I may just have them submit the plan and we look at it and decide. That's what I think. I think that's what I wanted to talk about the last meeting. Because some of our landscaping is in the new book, in the new UDO, is a little much, I feel, in certain scenarios. And like, for instance, the shed, was that Timberline Products? I let him go outside the compounds of the book because he said with what he had to do, he wouldn't be able to sell sheds. So just I let him do his thing, but probably moving forward, I'll bring the plan in and we'll go through it.
I think that's something too that has been brought to my attention, that Renee Odom has been not here for the past 6 months, so.
I've got somebody I think's gonna take that, so you're supposed to let me know this week.
Okay, all right. Do we ask for a resignation, or how do we?
I'd say she's resigned because we've invited her back, she didn't come, I'm not worried about it.
You know, the one time when I did set something asking her if she was gonna continue on, she was like, yeah, things have slowed down at work, I'll be able to start making the meetings, and she's not.
She's not.
So,
How can anyone pass up this assignment?
So exciting. Okay.
Start throwing confetti every time I come in from now on.
I could just send her a letter and.
Or we're replacing her, because I already said something to him.
Right.
Kind of a generic letter we've got in there.
I mean, Brandy's been all right.
All right, okay. Anything else? Before we adjourn? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. I'll send them guys down there tomorrow, Mike, see what we can look at.
I know we have adjourned, but I think, Jesse, here's the big answer to your question.
Yes.
Okay.
1, 2.
These regulations
Yep.
apply to development in all zoning districts.
Call to order at 6:02.
Detached single-family.
Call to order at
two-family
6:02.
dwellings Not located. Okay, well, that's all your houses in downtown.
Yeah.
Is that all you needed? Okay.
All right?
All right.
That makes
I didn't
sense.
see that.
Try to stay hydrated and cool.
I'll send them down there, Mike.